Hello everyone, Tracy Sizemore here, publisher and writer of the Hanklister Sci-Fi RPG, and I'm here to answer your deep dive questions. Some people think that because X bonding exists and because of the mechanics of it and the way it works, it kind of simplifies adventures for the players. Meaning, I can always communicate with my friends, I can always X travel to them or ghost travel to them. I can do things that in other RPGs are not as easy. Like, it's harder to separate the party. In fact, it is essential that you do separate the party because you're never really separated. Wherever one person goes, every person is able to go. And so the question that comes up is, why does that just not solve all my problems? What kind of adventures can I have if that exists? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about today. First, let me describe what X bonding is. So X bonding happens with a pair, or in a very rare circumstances, a group of people go through some sort of traumatic event or heavily emotional experience together, and they become X bonded. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. It doesn't happen every time. It's very rare, in fact. But when it does happen, there are a couple things that they can do once this bond has occurred. The first thing is that they can telepathically communicate with each other. The second thing they can do is ghost travel to one another. So they can send their X-ghosts, their semi-corporeal sort of apparitions that are inside their bodies, to their X-bonded mate, no matter what the obstacles or distance between them. So what that means is, even if you're not in a scene, you can easily be in a scene, even if your character may not be in the same physical location as your X-bonded friend. This means you can participate in conversations, you can participate in combats because of X gear and having X weapons that are effective against most targets. The third thing is that you can spend 2 bennies to give 1 benny to an X-bonded mate. So those are the 3 main things that you can do with an X-bond. The other thing that we need to talk about in order to answer this question is X-ghosts themselves. What is the advantage of being able to send your X-ghost somewhere, or even just detach your X-ghost from your body? One is your X-ghost is a little bit more resistant to certain things like radiation or heat or physical attacks even. You have sort of natural built-in resistance or armor to those things. That's an advantage, right? A disadvantage is that because you're semi-corporeal, you actually are a little bit more slippery, a little bit more squishy. So interacting with fully physical objects that don't have X-ghosts themselves is a little more difficult for you, which means when a roll is required and you've got to do something under pressure, it's likely you're going to have a -2 penalty to do it. So that's a disadvantage over having your physical body there. But the advantages are many. You can ghost travel to your X-bonded mates, you can telepathically communicate with them, you can, if you're an X-ghost existing in the scene, you can still talk to people, you can still fight people because of X-gear, you can do all the things that you normally do, you just sometimes have a penalty based on what you're trying to do. It depends. So then that question comes up again. How does X-bonding just not solve a lot of the adventures that you might go on in an RPG? Well, it doesn't. And it surprisingly doesn't, because of these limitations. One is an X-ghost cannot X-travel, cannot ghost travel to another X-bonded mate and bring physical equipment with them. So if you're carrying something important, let's say, something you need for an adventure, you cannot X-travel or ghost travel with that equipment and have it travel with you. It's just going to drop on the ground when you disappear. So if you need something physical and you need to go get it as part of an adventure, you're going to have to go there physically to get it. And that turns out to be a big one, because a lot of adventures in RPGs require you to, if not go get something, then go interact with something that you can't deal with easily as an X-ghost. The other thing is, you can take wounds as an X-ghost. Say if you get hurt by some kind of weapon, you can take the wounds and they will transfer automatically to your body. That's sort of a mysterious thing that happens. But you cannot heal X-ghosts. You must heal the physical body. So you need to know where your sleeper is and make sure that you have some way to get help if you get injured as an X-Ghost. And in the normal course of things, if you're going to a party or if you're going to just X-travel to somebody and you're not in the middle of a fight, that's not a big deal. But it becomes a big deal all of a sudden real fast when things get real. The third thing that's really important about X-Ghosts is that you can only stay ghosted as long as you can stay awake. As soon as you fall asleep, you snap back to your body. And even if you're a linked machines do need to sleep. For whatever reason, there's some mysterious reason why linked machines now need some kind of rest or downtime. And they do get tired and they do fall asleep. So that is a limitation of X-ghosting. So even if you're on another planet, as an X-ghost, eventually you're going to fall asleep. Once you do, you snap back. You may not be able to go back to that planet unless you've got X-bonded mates there. You can't just travel anywhere you want. You have to go where you've got X-bonded mates that you can ghost travel to. So it turns out that because of these limitations, even if you're not in an adventure that is made with X-bonding and X-ghost traveling in mind, it's still a limitation, and it still doesn't solve everything. So even normal adventures that aren't made with ghost traveling in mind still work for the most part. You'd be surprised how effective and fun those adventures still are, even with ghost traveling and X-bonding present. But what really gets fun is when you can use X-bonding as another tool in your toolbox. And there are multiple examples of this in the Han Cluster books, in the Savage Tales, in the Plot Point campaign, where it is designed to take advantage of these tools that you have now. For example, and I'm going to spoil a little bit about Ghosted Clowns of Porso, which is a Savage Tale in the Transcendence Plot Point campaign book. You may be called on to help one of your friends on track to deal with some thugs who are attacking some students on a university campus. Without X-bonding, you may have to research the heck out of everything, make a good guess about where the next victims are going to be when the perpetrators strike. With X-bonding, it gets a little easier. Why? Because of something I said before. When one person is there, everybody is there, because they can ghost travel to that one person. So if you say you've got a student that you want to use as bait to attract the perpetrators to them, you could set up bait for a couple different students, 3 or 4, and each of you individually as a party member can be with each of those students. So as soon as one of those students gets attacked, everybody can be there at that student because of X-bonding. It really is a cool tool, and when the players start to understand what this tool is capable of, it really gets super fun. It took a lot of play testing, it took a lot of courage to go there and to try it, and then to realize that, oh no, this not only creates something special and new, but it doesn't break anything. But more than that, X-bonding is central and critical to the theme of connection and togetherness in the Han Cluster. It is thematically and metaphorically important to the setting. So having that all gel into this sort of not only metaphorical and thematic whole, but also a mechanical way to reinforce what that whole is and what that theme is really a very, very cool part of the Han Cluster and what makes it unique. So that answers that question for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next week.